have a Cold Steel AD10 on the table right now. I bought this knife last year in the midst of 2020, and I've been very happy with this knife overall. It is a fairly large knife, not too large of a knife, but it's kind of bulky, not too heavy, but a little bit on the heavier side, and it's very wide. It's not too long of a knife, it's just kind of all very, very heavy duty feeling, very wide, contoured G10 handles, S35 VN steel. Before we start talking about those, let's get into the topic of Cold Steel. Now, when Cold Steel announced they were selling, they did sell the company. So there's a lot of people that are looking into these knives and which one should they get. This is one of the pretty popular models. AD10 is Andrew Demko 10. Andrew Demko is a custom knife maker that partners up with Cold Steel. He actually invented the triad lock, which is what this is. Now, it looks like a lockback design, which it is a lockback design. What the triad lock does is it adds a stop pin there, which pretty much allows the blade to rest. The tang of the blade kind of rests on there, or that upper section when that locks in. So it does add extra strength compared to a traditional lockback mechanism. These are one of the strongest locking knives that you can get as far as them not unlocking under heavy use. So this is a very good design knife for like a survival knife, pocket knife. Obviously a fixed blade is preferable, but this is about as close as you can get to a fixed blade for a folding blade. Having that extra strong locking mechanism, you know, the triad lock system, having some pretty decent steel. You get S35 VN, and you know, that's a good steel that holds an edge pretty well, but it's also really tough. It's actually tougher than S30V, so that's more preferable in my opinion if you're out in the wilderness or survival situations. You don't want this to be chipping or breaking in any way, and that's not going to be tough like 1095 or something like that, but it's going to hold an edge longer, obviously. So also the G10 scales are very nice. They're contoured with the highest spot obviously being in the center, and then they just contour all over. It feels very rounded, very secure. The reason why I would say this is like the ultimate folding knife that could potentially replace a fixed blade is not just the locking mechanism, but how it feels in the hand. It feels very solid in the hand in many different positions. That extra width and the contouring just allows you to lock in. There's a choil up top here, you know, where the end of that blade meets the G10 scales, so you can put your a couple different ways you can do that. Got some extra different kind of positions. The whole blade itself, the whole knife itself is very nicely, smoothly kind of neutral, which is what you'd want in a fixed blade. You know, when you're carving wood and things like that, you don't want any aggressive angles up there, and you also don't want aggressive jimping. This jimping up here may look aggressive, however it is not sharp at all. It is very, very smooth. It's very wide spaces for the jimping, and that does allow for some grip, either with gloves or without, and it doesn't hurt the hand or fingers at all. It doesn't dig in, but it allows grip, which is exactly what you want. And there's a couple different ways you can open this knife. Obviously you have dual thumb studs, so you can do like thumb flick. You can use your index finger or any other fingers back here, but you do kind of got to hyperextend them as you flick to kind of get that blade to kick out. That is not my preferred opening method. I prefer to use either the thumb stud with my thumb, or you can do this. You can depress the triad lock and then the blade will come out. Another option is you can gravity open this knife, and that just basically is giving it enough force with a flick at the end to get that blade to fling out. So just like that. And you do want to be careful when you're shutting this, obviously. You do have to hit this back here, which the locking mechanism is out of the way of the blade itself. However, to kind of press that, your finger is going to be in a spot where if you're at a really steep angle, this could kind of hack your finger as it's coming down. So that's something you got to be careful of, that I would kind of recommend to people who aren't familiar with this knife. Just watch out when you're closing it. You can kind of keep your fingers out of the way and depress the lock, although it's pretty close, you know, just to have enough grip to push that in and depress that lock. Yeah, it's not my preferred method. One way you can do this is just drop it onto surface and then close it. And that's 2 actions to close it. I know it's not preferable, but anyway, to each their own. Let's get into the weight. Have my scale right here while it's turning on. It is in ounces. Let's check out the weight. Like I said, it's pretty burly knife. It is 7.01 ounces. I believe on their website they advertise it being 6.9 something ounces. I mean, that's very close to what they're advertising it as. And yeah, that's pretty much what a good, decent, meaty knife. Not too large though. The blade length, depending on where you're looking at, it's about 3.5 to 4 inches. So from the tip, if you're looking to this lower section, it's just under 4. It's like 3.8 inches. And then if you're looking at the upper section of that handle material, it is right at 3.5. Also, the cutting edge is from here to there is 3.5. But if you were to grab like a string and then measure the cutting edge, it should be somewhere around 3.7 or so, because you have that curve there. That would add some length to a straightaway. And anyways, let's clean that up a little bit. Yeah, this knife, S35EN steel, is a decent, tough steel with a good, strong edge retention. And you do have this hole here, which you can use in multiple ways. I guess you can kind of use it. At first, people were saying it's either to prevent it from opening or closing, which you can, I guess, use that. You can wedge something in there, and it might come out a little bit, but it would still overall prevent it from opening up all the way, or preventing it from closing. You know, you can also do that. It still would move a little bit, but it wouldn't lock in on your fingers if that's something you're worried about, like paracord or something. You could even tie a paracord from here to there, just keep your hand extra kind of locked in there from slipping something, whatever you want to use it for. Different ways. That's the lanyard hole back here. Yeah, it's got stainless, I believe it's got aluminum liners and then stainless steel pocket clip. Like I said, I think I said this, it's not reversible, but it does come with another pocket clip that is kind of like the opposite design of that section. So don't lose that if you want to switch it over. But yeah, you might notice that I have a pretty steep edge on here. This edge should be somewhere around 15 degrees or so. This is an incredibly slicey knife. You can see how broad the blade is, how tall it is. It's about almost 1.5 inches tall at the tallest spot. And that's a very wide blade. With my version, I have the hollow grind here and the very low angle. This is like my sliciest knife I own. Out of 20 or so knives, this knife is incredibly slicey. I don't have the newer flat grind version, which is what Cold Steel replaced the original release with. And that one obviously might not be as slicey, but it would be more geared towards survivalist knife. Having a flat grind, especially with that tall of a blade, it's just going to be stronger, a little bit stronger. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. It's just for fun. This is just my input. I've had this knife for 8-9 months or so, and I'm very happy I bought it. It does take some loose fitting pants for me in my own personal experience to kind of carry this knife around. You can see the pocket clip. Everything above that section of bend is going to be sticking up out of your pocket, so it does stick up quite a ways. Not sure if there's any aftermarket options for pocket clips, but some people I've heard they just take the clip off because it's just better just used in a pocket. This is a good jacket pocket knife, or if you want to carry it in your jeans. Like I said, I need to wear my more loose fitting jeans when I want to carry this in it. 7 ounces is decently heavy. It's not too crazy heavy, but it's still pretty heavy. So you can feel it moving around in your pocket, stuff like that. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.